Sorry for the length, but this has been brewing in my mind for a long time. Backstory: my husband, Jim, 33 male, and I started dating in February 2018 after being long distance friends for years. We didn't want a long distance relationship, so he moved in with me right away because I owned a house 300 miles away from him hometown. We tried for a baby and got pregnant right away in May 2018. He dated his most recent ex for over 4 years. They lived together, but the last year of their relationship they weren't intimate. No kids, no assets. Coincidentally, as soon as they broke it off, she began a relationship with a married man. Jim doesn't believe she cheated on him, but that's another story. Jim and ex broke up in September 2017. She made him swear to a pact that they would remain friends. She moved to his hometown from 1,000 miles away to live with him, so she didn't have friends or family in the area. Everyone she knew were his friends and family, so I get that. They got lunch a few times in the winter months between their breakup and the start of our relationship. That was the extent of it. When ex learned of our relationship, she called him crying. He made it public on Facebook, and within minutes she called him. She said he broke their pact, and he'd never see her again. She said he was just rushing into something. He was single for 5 months. This is where my problem with ex begins. I honestly didn't care if he hung out with her until this point. I never stopped him. He told me he questioned their friendship because of her character. She was knowingly sleeping with a married man with the intent of stealing him away from his wife and kids. Jim was not okay with his ex/friend acting this way and told her that many times. Nonetheless, ex protested our relationship and tried to persuade him not to be with me. She tried manipulating him into feeling guilty about moving on. I feel that she tried to have her cake and eat it too. I took that away from her, somehow. I had met Jim's sister a few times before a big annual party she was throwing at a park in June 2018. I thought she was really nice. I'm kind of shy in big groups of new people, so I didn't talk to her that much, but I could tell she was trying to make me feel comfortable and at home, and I told her I really appreciated it. Friends and extended family always came to her party, and it seemed like everyone always had a good time. This particular year, the party got rained out. Everyone spent the whole time under a park pavilion. Jim's ex was invited, which Jim informed me ahead of time. My initial reaction was that's weird, but okay. Since his last interaction with ex was her crying about our relationship, it was kind of awkward. It was also awkward that he introduced me to extended family and then they look over and see his ex with another man, a friend she brought. Jim and I planned on announcing our pregnancy at this party, but he opted to wait because he didn't feel comfortable with his ex there. I assume he didn't want her to cry or cause a scene. So rather than make a happy announcement, we waited until she left and kind of mentioned it to the people that were still there. It was weird. At this point, Jim's sister tells him that I'm family now, so she won't be having ex around anymore. Cool. I appreciate that. It would make things way less awkward, especially considering she didn't even talk to anyone at this party. Jim said hi, but that was it. She talked to his sister for a few minutes. A month or so later, Jim's father informs us ex came over to do some light gardening for him. Jim's dad is very forthright with the fact that he hates this ex. He never liked her, all they did was argue, etc. Jim gets concerned as to why she would even do that for someone she never got along with. He called her and asked and she said she knew he was alone since he was living with me and she wanted to help out. Note, we were visiting him every weekend and I actually pulled and did this gardening the week prior. Jim asked ex to please just leave his family alone. She's making him uncomfortable. She said she'll leave his dad alone, but not his sister. That she's too close with her. Remember, his sister said she's done with ex. Well, that's the last we heard of ex, until recently when things blew up. Jim and I got married in January and had our baby in February, 1 year after we started dating. My SIL and I have gotten pretty close. We talk on the phone every week or so, and we visited a lot before the baby. SIL could never have kids and ever, since the birth of our baby, she's been very overbearing. She insults Jim and tells him he doesn't know how to take care of babies, tells him he's self-centered, etc. These insults are completely unwarranted. For example, we were staying with SIL for a weekend. Baby was sleeping in the guest room, but woke up crying around midnight. We were all up, hanging out, and SIL basically races me to the room, and before I can do anything, grabs my baby from where he was sleeping. This wakes the baby, since crying in his sleep doesn't necessarily mean he's awake. Jim comes in the room, and asks in an even tone, "Did you wake up, baby?" SIL lost it. I took the baby from her, and she stormed out of the room shouting, "Duck you, Jim. You're such a ducking AH. How dare you disrespect me? Do you even think before you say this dumber crap?" She went on and on and on. That's the kind of temper she has with him. A few weeks later, I see a pixel is tagged in on Facebook at her new house. They had a party there, and X is clearly in the background. Extended family was there, just like before. My Bill told Jim yeah, she was there and everyone was asking why and thought it was weird. They've been broken up for a year and a half. We've been together a year. We're married and have a baby. We had plans to go to a theme park with SIL and Bill. I didn't want to because SIL offered to watch our baby while we go off on our own. After seeing how possessive she is with our baby, I'm not cool with that. I'm not cool with her insulting my husband's parenting, and I'm not cool with her flipping on him. I told him I'd really rather see her at home and talk to her about all of that, plus the X thing. She told us she was done with X, and she lied. Whether or not she intended to, she lied, and I feel that her hanging out with X in family situations is undermining my relationship. I told Jim I didn't want to see SIL at a theme park and ruin everyone's day because I can't just bite my tongue. I'm a recovering people pleaser, and I feel like this is a situation where I'm still just acting like a doormat. Well, Jim took it upon himself and told his sister, "Hey, my wife feels disrespected by you hanging out with X." This was apparently the wrong thing to do, cause she flipped like never before. She screamed "duck you" at the top of her lungs and went off on how he disrespected her by implying she disrespected me. He said, "Can't we just talk about this?" But she just wanted to argue. She told him he's selfish and doesn't think of other people. That she can't just crap on someone who's never done her wrong. That X was in her life first, and it's not her fault that I wasn't. That she can't defend his past to his wife, whatever that means. She said X is nuts, but she's like a daughter to her. I think that's where this is all coming from. Her brother, who she never thought would have kids, had a baby. She can't have a baby. She's losing her mind. Trust me, I understand how it feels to not be able to conceive. That's why Jim and I started right away. I tried 4 years with an ex and never could get pregnant. It hurt. I knew I wanted to be with Jim, and we are both in our early 30s, so we wanted to try right away, since it could take years. We just lucked out. SIL is going nuts over my baby, and now is acting like she's the mom to X because of the age difference, and X has no family here. X's mom is still very alive, 1,000 miles away. SIL has now cut us out of her life. I feel bad because Bill is a sweet guy and Jim really loves him. This argument went down weeks ago and ended with SIL saying no one ever thinks of her, only her husband loves her. Jim never loved her. People always crap on her. Jim reached out to talk it out on the phone and she's ghosting him. So Reddit, what have we done? Am I in the wrong here? I'm not trying to dictate who she should hang out with. I just want her to know it makes me uncomfortable to have the ex around extended family, who should all be getting used to me being part of the family. Should I just have bit my tongue, even though my gut is telling me not to? I'm new to standing up for myself. I feel like I've done something incredibly wrong. Thanks if you've read this far. TLDR, SIL won't stop bringing husband's ex to family gatherings, making family uncomfortable. She might be compensating because we had a baby. For 4 years SIL has posed as a friend to me, often texted me, invited me to hers for catch-ups and girls' nights in, lunches, supported me through my pregnancy, which was a bumpy road, invited me to play groups with the children, and also shared intimate details about her turbulent relationship. Gosh, she even forced a visit to the hospital the day my baby was born. She was one of very few, because I didn't want visitors, but agreed to it because partner wanted her there. I supported her through tough times by offering a confidential safe space to vent and offload. A few months ago it came to light that she and her now husband had secretly gone to Barcelona in the summer to attend my partner's ex's wedding. Mil decided to stir the pot by telling partner the news. When it all came out, my partner was furious. He fell out with SIL. The family had big arguments. I stayed out of it. Things have settled down. At the time I felt I had no right to be annoyed as it didn't directly disrespect me. However, I did feel a little pissed off about the idea of her pretending to be my friend whilst having a relationship with partner's ex. They have been separated for 7 years. That bit stung, because I felt slightly betrayed. Personally, I would never maintain a relationship with my brother's ex out of respect to him and his new partner, especially if the ex had moved abroad and lost contact with the rest of the family. That said, everyone is different and it probably didn't make too much of a difference to me if she did or did not have a relationship with the ex. Maybe they were good friends before. However, SIL could have been decent enough to be straight up with me and tell me this from the beginning. Anyway, as I was saying, I wasn't upset or annoyed at the time, but I very suddenly realized that SIL is no true friend of mine. Fine, it is what it is. She is my SIL, and I will tolerate her when I see her. As a result, I minimized contact, and any communications were brief/civil. Browsing through Instagram this evening, I noticed that said ex has been liking all of SIL's posts, and so has said ex's mother. Being nosy, I clicked on this mother's profile. OMG, my SIL wasn't just a guest, she was a bloody bridesmaid. What the duck? I'm unsure if my partner knows this, because he hasn't mentioned it to me. He just told me that she was at the wedding, and it made him angry. Did Mil decide to omit the fact SIL was a bridesmaid, which is a big deal, if you ask me. Now I'm pretty angry about it all, and I don't even want to be in this woman's company. She has no morals. This isn't the first time she has done something pretty crappy. She refused to invite her aunt to her own wedding because she couldn't afford another guest, but she invited her brother's new girlfriends, who have been on the scene far less than a loyal and very generous aunt, yet she could afford to have 2 fancy wedding dresses and all sorts of entertainment, which included a petting zoo for the children, face painting, a band and more. Meh. I'm annoyed now. Maybe I'm being overly sensitive? But one thing is for sure, she certainly is not my friend. I'd confidently say she is a snake in the grass, who is only out to fulfill her own needs, and I have zero tolerance for sneaky people. Update. Ex cheated on partner. They broke up. He doesn't talk about it, and I don't ask. TDLR. SIL and her husband planned a secret trip to my partner's ex's wedding abroad, where she was a bridesmaid.